I've been enjoying seeing so many of your stories, so I've decided to attempt to tell mine. It's a challenge for me, so you'll notice I'm using notes to keep me on track. And I guarantee I will be in tears more than once as I try to do this. I tear up just thinking about it. So here goes. My parents both had bad experiences with church in their younger years, so I grew up in a household where God was never mentioned. All my siblings somehow became Christians in early adulthood, but I never thought much about the subject. When I was in my teens, one of my sisters went to a Catholic college, and she encouraged me to join the church. I went through all the training, was baptized, took communion, and really tried to be a Catholic. But after a couple years, I realized that I didn't actually believe any of it. It was just ritual for me. I was doing it because I thought I should. So I was content to continue being atheist. In my late 20s, I tried a church here in Napa, but that didn't take either. I rarely even thought about God. Friends would try to persuade me to go to church, but if God was going to condemn me to eternal hell just because I didn't worship Him, I didn't want anything to do with Him. But I'm a nature lover, and I always want to know how things work. And over the years, it became pretty clear that our world was just too complex and amazing to have happened by chance. So I became more of an agnostic. It made sense that there probably was some higher power that put all this together. But I still didn't spend much time thinking about it. Maybe there was a God of creation, but it had nothing to do with me. I was doing just fine. Then, 2 years ago, my brother was diagnosed with a brain tumor. I went up to Oregon to be with him for the surgery. The night before the surgery, his church family came to his house to pray with him. Normally, I would have slipped upstairs and let them do their thing without me. But I didn't. I stayed to listen, and I was overwhelmed. The love in that room was palpable. Even I couldn't help feeling it, and I thought, I want this. Soon after that, I went to Minnesota to spend time with my sister for a couple months. I expected the feeling to go away, but when I got home, I still felt like I wanted to look for a church. I knew my neighbors, Mark and Sandy, were going to a church they really liked, so I asked Sandy about it. She said it was CrossWalk and told me a bit about it. I loved that I didn't need to dress up. I asked if I could go with them the next Sunday. I have to thank you for changing the name to CrossWalk, because if I had known this was a Baptist church, I probably would have looked somewhere else, or at least would have come with my guard up. So I came with them. I listened to Pete, and he seemed so real and sincere and had a nice, positive message. I loved his singing. I watched the people and saw all the hugs and loves they shared with each other. It seemed pretty safe and welcoming, so I kept coming. I'll never forget Pete's teaching on judging. I still carry the rock that says not today, not ever in my pocket. One of my personal pet peeves about the so-called Christians I've known over the years is how judgmental they seem. Pete's message was a breath of fresh air. And even more important, I see it lived out in the people I've gotten to know here. There have been many more teachings that have really touched me. In fact, there was one about a year ago that I cried through the whole time. It had to do with love. See a theme developing here? After a few months, I did something so foreign to my nature that I still can't believe I did it. I emailed Pete and asked to talk to him. I say this was foreign to me because I have never shared my feelings with anyone. I'm not very trusting. I've always been a loner. But with Pete, it was instant trust. I've been pestering him on a regular basis ever since, and somehow he puts up with me. Thanks, Pete. Gradually, I began to get involved. I went to Bible study. At first, I just listened in, but slowly I began to realize that it was okay that I didn't have the same beliefs, and I could share my doubts and fears. I joined several small groups. I got involved with food pantries. I started trusting more people. I've amazed myself more than once by sharing personal things with my groups. I've been made to feel totally welcome and loved. I loved it when David said that when he's on vacation, he wants to come back just for church. I plan everything I do so that I won't miss anything here at CrossWalk. I'm totally hooked. Now comes the hard part. Love is a huge issue for me.
You're fine.
I was. Although you can hear the tremor in my voice.
Yeah, you're doing good.
Okay, God, this is your idea. You've got to help me through it. Give me strength. Now comes the hard part. Love is a huge issue for me. I know now that my parents and siblings loved me, but ours was not a demonstrative family. I don't remember ever being hugged as a kid. I grew to see myself as unlovable and protected myself by not loving anyone else either. So when I felt the love at my brother's prayer meeting, I knew that was what I needed. Little did I know then that CrossWalk was going to be the answer. Slowly, I'm learning to accept the love offered by so many of you and even to return it. I see huge changes in myself. I'm still struggling with believing that God is behind it all, but I like what's happening. The rest will come in time. My faith journey is just beginning. I still have huge doubts and fears, but I know I couldn't be in a better place to work it all out than here at CrossWalk, and I thank Pete and all of you for helping me through it all. I love you. There, I said it.